everybody. I bow to the love and the light that is absolutely in you. Lisa A. Romano here, the Breakthrough Life Coach, and today I want to address a couple of things. I will shut my phone off now. Lots going on. The first thing I want to address is what you can expect when you discover that you have been narcissistically abused and you have begun to take part on this healing journey. That's the first thing. And the second thing I want to talk about is how fabulous it is to discover that you have been narcissistically abused. So number one, when you discover that you've been narcissistically abused, it is a very nauseating time because you are coming face to face with the reality that what you thought you had, you didn't have. And it F's with everything. It F's with your, it frigs with, I'm trying to refrain from cursing. It frigs with your perception of self. It frigs with your perception of your past. It messes with your memories. It makes you question everything that you've experienced in your lifetime with this said narcissist. When you realize, I've been living with, having sex with, have been raised by a narcissist. It is such a foul experience. That's what it feels like when you first start to really understand and your psyche begins to interface with this new piece of information. What? I've been abused by a narcissist? This person can't see me? This person, their agenda was to not hear me? They can only see their own pain? They have been minimizing me? They've discarded me? They've been cheating on me. They've been using their own pain against me because they're a vulnerable narcissist who are in a constant state of self-pity, who feel entitled to everybody feeling sorry for them, and they have no intention of taking responsibility for changing the way they're viewing the world. They really do believe that everybody should feel sorry for them, and nobody else could possibly experience the type of pain they're experiencing. So when you say, yeah, I understand, I'm in that pain too, you could never understand that you don't understand the kind of pain that I'm in, and there is just no agenda to hear you or possibly even take responsibility. Codependents will recognize that they're in pain, and they actually want to fix it. They actually want to understand their role in it, whereas a vulnerable narcissist does not want to understand it. They're just not interested. They're interested in cornering the market on everybody taking care of them. And then there are overt, grandiose narcissists. And remember, narcissism exists on a spectrum. It's not black and white, you know. And then we have these grandiose narcissists who, when we begin to wake up and we put the pieces of the puzzle back together, we're like, oh my God, that's what happened, you know. And he minimized me, and then he told me it was my fault, and then he said, you know, someone just shared on my Facebook group that her husband said, if we have a threesome, then we'll be closer together. I've had past boyfriends tell me that if I wasn't so insecure, then I wouldn't wonder about where he was after he left my house, or if I wasn't so insecure, then I wouldn't really question why he was making out with some girl. I mean, this is the logic. But in the moment when you're hearing this person who has sucked you in and has done their best to try to convince you that they're all in, they're into you, right? So there's this infatuation phase. You feel seen, ding, 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 ding. Finally, this attachment trauma, that this feeling of being unseen is being healed up by this amazing person who sees me. And then you wake up, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's just a bunch of bullshit. They had their agenda the entire time. You know, I mean, it's just maddening when you wake up. And so there is this nauseating time where you're like, you want to vomit, you know, and then you go through periods of being just, you know, so depressed and so like, what's wrong with me? And you feel so much guilt and you feel so much shame, and your emotions are going up and they're coming down. And sometimes you feel like angry and you feel like you want to just kill somebody. Like, how could he get away with this? Or how could she just go on with her life after she's caused so much chaos in my life and in my children's lives? She's having an affair, and she's saying it's my fault, and she's had affairs since I met her, but somehow it's my fault. I've had 3 jobs trying to take care of the kids, giving them a bath, and my wife is out gallivanting and having sex with my friends and my neighbors, and this is the experience that some people have. And then we have women who understand that they've been married for 30, 40 years to someone who has taken out insurance policies against them, who have created businesses in their wife's names and their children's names. And the wife and the children have nothing, don't even know. Just sign this, honey. Just sign this, honey. If you weren't, if you trusted me, you'd sign it. What do you mean you got to read it? Don't you trust me? And they're cheating on you on top of it. And you have 30, 40, 20 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter. You have a life with this person and you thought you were on the same page. And then you come to find out you weren't? If that isn't maddening, I don't know what the frig is. So when you begin to realize that you've been narcissistically abused, expect this roller coaster of emotions. Expect it. Expect to wake up and not want to get out of bed. That is absolutely appropriate for what you're going through. You have been hit by a spiritual Mack truck. You've been hit by a cognitive Mack truck. Boom! And nothing is the way it was. And your brain is going to struggle for a wall to cling to, but all the walls are gone, right? You're floating in this emotional abyss. And I remember being there, and it is a very vulnerable time. Do not get involved with other people right now. Don't go out and have sex with strangers. Just my opinion. Don't go to hook up. Stay off of Tinder. Stay off of Match.com. Don't do it, dear ones, because what's going to happen is you attract what you are. So if you feel wounded, you're going to attract somebody who wounds you even further. Just don't do it. Sit with it. Figure out how to heal it. Check out my work. Check out my meditations on Insight Timer. Join one of my Facebook groups. I have coaching programs that I run throughout the year. Check it out. If it's not my coaching program, somebody else's. Just do something that gets you motivated in the direction of healing. Do not seek outside attachments right now. And I know I've heard other people talk about, emotional anorexia or relationship anorexia. There is a time where we need to heal, and adding other people to our pot of misery is only going to net us more misery. Just my humble opinion. I jumped into a relationship right after my marriage, right after my husband walked out the door, and I thought in my ignorance, I'm not codependent. My marriage was codependent. And guess what I attracted? I attracted a narcissist that was 10 times worse than my vulnerable narcissist. He was an overt narcissist. He was a pathological criminal narcissist. Oh my God. And then I took some time off, and guess what? I attracted a very intelligent, high-functioning, psychopathic narcissist. Dear ones, get yourself healed, please. So expect this crazy, I don't know what's happening, expect people to not get it because they're not going to be able to validate your experience. They're going to say to you, I thought he was a nice guy. How could it have been that bad? You lived in a nice house. You went on vacations. Look at the jewelry. They're not going to understand that all that shit he did or she did because they were securing how other people saw them. So it's the analogy I use when I coach clients is a narcissist sets Dunkin' Donuts on fire so he can rob the bank down the block. Well, everybody's looking at the fire. This narc, or this person, is robbing the bank. That's what they do. It's a smoke screen. And you know what happens? You, as a kind-hearted, empathetic person who's tried to understand this narcissist and all his pain or her pain, and you've been so tolerant of this freaking abuse, what happens is you've been stuffing it. And then when you go out and you tell your parents and you tell your siblings and you tell your friends, they're like, what are you talking about? I didn't know that was going on. So you're up here, they're down here, and you're like, get up here, get up, see what I see. And they can't. So you are invalidated even further. So again, my suggestion, that's why I think the internet is so amazing. I love Facebook. I love the fact that you can join any online support group, free online support group, and find like-minded people and listen to podcasts and surround yourself with people who can mirror back your pain, who are going to understand it, because expecting other people to get it, they're just not going to. You're going to be invalidated even further. So when you wake up and you find that you've been narcissistically abused, it is a nauseating time. It's nauseating and it's cruel. This type of abuse gets into every cell of your being. A narcissist finds out what all your weaknesses are, and they get you to talk about your pain. And then what they do is, once you let them in, they use that pain against you throughout your relationship. So when, this is the thing, when they cripple you there, you are reacting like a child. They bring you right back to being 3, right back to being 4, right back to being 2, right back to being 1, right back to being 6 when you were given up for adoption, or right back to being a few weeks old and you were ignored and you weren't fed. It triggers all of those wounds, all of those attachment traumas. And I don't think there's just one attachment trauma that occurs. I think those of us, and I just heard this term recently and I love it. I forgot the name of the woman, forgive me. Diane something, trauma specialist. She said abused adult children who are raised by narcissists or along those lines are marinating in this type of abuse, right? So when you attract a narcissist in your life and you share what's going on in your world, what happens is they use that information against you, and then you are feeling like a powerless child. And I create videos and I create books and I create online coaching programs to help you no longer feel like a child, so that you can process this information like a grown-ass man and a grown-ass woman, and no longer allow a narcissist to be able to bring you to your 3-year-old knees. No effing way. It's got to stop now. The amazing thing about discovering that you've been narcissistically abused is another analogy that I use. The brain actually loves analogies. I don't know if you dear ones know that, but it's true. The brain loves analogies. They stick. So I love the idea that the brain cannot fix a hole in a wall it can't see. When you discover that you're narcissistically abused, it's like a light goes on. And it's painful, because when the light goes on, you see all these holes in the walls in your mind, in the walls in your soul. You see them. And it's scary. It's like, oh my God, my life wasn't what I thought it was. Oh my God, look at all these holes. How am I ever going to patch these holes? Take a break. 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 You patch the holes in your psyche and in your spiritual self the same way you fix a fixer-upper, a home. One tile at a time, one wall at a time, one window at a time, one door at a time. But the idea is, it is better to know where these holes are. It is better to know where this abuse is coming from than not to know. And I believe that you cannot know the light within you until you know the dark within you. And further than that, dear one, the dark isn't even yours. The dark is a product of your past. It's an imprint from the generations before you. And in this lifetime, you and I are so lucky to have the benefit of the internet, to have the benefit of online work that we can pull from and learn from and support one another as abused adult children. We are so lucky that we are born in an age and time where we have the ability to turn our own lights on and to heal the darkness from within. Because within each and every human being is a divine, perfect blueprint. And our journey on this lifetime is to remember and to return, to accept and to appreciate and to understand that we are enough. We are returning to our divine blueprint. And so being narcissistically abused sucks. It is very topsy-turvy. It's like, oh my God, shut the lights off. No, keep the lights on. Keep the lights on. Just patch the holes up one at a time. And it's about finally understanding where the demon is really coming from. It's not you, dear one. It's only your programming. So please check out my work at www.lisaaromano.com. Join me on Insight Timer. I have a bunch of meditations and podcasts free of charge. Join one of my online Facebook groups. I will leave a link to one of those Facebook group books below. You can read my books in the order that I wrote them, and that order is outlined at www.lisaromano.com. And if you feel like my work resonates with you, I would enjoy and love the honor of being your guide in one of my online coaching programs. Namaste, everybody. You are enough, and I am bowing to the divine love and light that is absolutely within you. Namaste.